This is Swarfcast. I'm Noah Graff. I am very honored to have Scott Aaron, LinkedIn expert, best-selling author, and podcast host of the Networking and Marketing Made Simple podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Noah. Grateful to be here.
Let's break in. The first thing I want to do, just give people a very quick overview of what you do, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So there's I would say three different arms to the company that my wife and I have called The Time to Grow. She personally runs a content repurposing agency with our team that is directed more towards insurance brokers and insurance professionals, helping them stay present on social media, including LinkedIn, with our content repurposing agency. So she kind of heads that. And then myself, I do LinkedIn coaching and consulting. So I have a low-level membership. I have a DIY course. I have a group coaching program, and I do high-level one-on-one consulting with individuals and companies. I do speaking. I've written a number of books. And then together, we run a group coaching mastermind called Expert Authority, helping service professionals become the experts in their space based on what we consider the feel-good business model, helping them grow and scale with ease, simplicity, and fun. And then we also have a course called Expert Foundations for people that are either in very early stage or in the concept phase of their business, helping them get the necessary infrastructure and foundations in place to be able to then grow and scale. And, so we have our hands in many different things. We have our own social media posting platform called BYOB Social. So if people want to stay more present in their life and not have to be on social media all the time, they can use our SaaS product. So, and, we're both podcasters. So my wife runs hers, I run mine. She's written a book. We've written one together. So we have our hands in a lot of great things, but all in all, if you were to basically create a theme of everything that we do, either individually or as a couple, we're looking to help people become as successful as possible.
Wow, I need that, and most people need that. We're going to touch on a lot of those things, specifically LinkedIn, because this seems to be one of your sweet spots. I actually found out about Scott from my podcast coach, Kevin Schmidlin. It just seems like you have so many interesting nuggets, practical advice. I want to just start by just talking a little bit of LinkedIn. As you probably know, our podcast is geared towards people in precision machining. It seems like the platform that makes the most sense, or one of the platforms that makes the most sense for social media, is LinkedIn. I do know of some companies that have had some success marketing themselves on Instagram as well. First, I want to know your thoughts about LinkedIn versus the other social media platforms.
Well, anyone that is a service-based business, if you're providing a service to a core demographic that is also in the business space or a business professional, you're going to want to focus on LinkedIn. And the reason why I say that is that not to, I would say, devalue the other platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, but they're entertainment platforms. So yes, there's a lot of how-to and stuff on YouTube, but it's basically just, watching videos. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm omnipresent. You can find me on any platform. But the reason why I lead with LinkedIn is it's been proven time and time again that it's the best social media platform to build out your personal and your business brand. If you want credibility, if you want visibility, if you want to be taken serious, but also position yourself as an expert or a go-to person in the space that you're in with a service, a product, a good that you're providing, you're going to want to optimize everything that you're doing on LinkedIn. If you look at the other platforms, not saying they don't work, but they're entertainment. They're social platforms. Facebook, I call it the barbecue of social media because that's basically what you see. You see people, getting married, getting engaged, people passing away. It's sad, but some of my highest engaged posts that I never meant to be high engaging posts on Facebook was when I was sharing my father's cancer journey last year. And then I post something meaningful about my business and it's crickets. And the social media platforms let you know what they want you to post about. They want you to post social things on social platforms and business things on business platforms. That's why you see on LinkedIn, a lot of the personal stuff doesn't get a ton of traction. The business stuff does. And
it's interesting because I've seen people on LinkedIn in my circles, when they sprinkle in the personal stuff, they actually get traction on it.
I mean, it really depends what people's end goal is. I don't care to share my personal life on LinkedIn. I think people are trying to make it into the other social media platforms, and none of that helps people's businesses. That's the vanity metric of things. I don't care about the likes. I don't care about the comments. I don't care about the views or the impressions. I care about how my content, A, is leaving my audience, and it's meant to leave them better, where they can take something away. And B, if it's positioning myself as a value-added resource. And the fact is that there's no LinkedIn, you can't even compare it to the other social media platforms. It's like comparing apples to bowling balls. LinkedIn it's in a league of its own. It really is, because it's the only social media platform where you specifically can choose the network that you want to build. So if you want to build a network of all real estate professionals, you can do that. If you want to build a network of all podcasters, you can do that. If you want to build a network of people that are just in manufacturing, you can do that. And that's why the search engine is so powerful on LinkedIn. And people fail to recognize, LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, a technology company, and they have a partnership with Google. So the more optimized everything that you're doing on LinkedIn, the more optimized everything is going to be through the search engines on Google, Yahoo, and Bing. So I get a ton of visibility, not just on LinkedIn, but on the larger search engines, outside of LinkedIn as well.
One thing I thought was really interesting about what you're saying is how you engineer your audience to be very specific to what you're doing. Like, I'm still consider myself somewhat of a rookie on LinkedIn. One thing I've noticed is you pretty much just connect with people who are in your niche if you try to, and it helps you to do that. I was looking at my connections today. Went to your profile, a little last minute preparation, and I noticed that you hadn't connected to me. I'm a follower of you. Was that on purpose? Because you I wasn't exactly in your niche, or
no. So
it's okay. You're not going to sound like a jerk.
No. I full transparency. The crazy thing is, once everything that you're doing on LinkedIn gets optimized the right way, you start seeing an influx of activity. And part of the activity that you see a significant increase in are the people that are looking to connect with you, meaning you get more inbound connection requests because A, your content is more visible, so more people are seeing it, so they're hitting that follow and connect button. But the second thing, you're appearing in more searches. So just like any other search engine, the more searches that you appear in, the more visibility that you get, the more inbound or outreach you're going to get. So for me, on average, I get about 20 connection requests a day on LinkedIn. Okay. So, and that,
all right,
so
I won't take it personally. I have a problem of taking things personally, particularly on LinkedIn. Like, I'll meet somebody in person, and then I go to connect with them, and I send them a long, nice message, and then they don't.
So they get buried very quickly, because what happens is when you go to the My Network area on LinkedIn, they only show you the top 3. most recent requests that have come in, and then you have to click see all to go scroll through all of the other ones. So what happens is if multiple people send you connection,
All right.
yeah, I'm
Yeah. You're forgiven. You're forgiven.
just proving a. I just because again, you're not the first person to say that. Like, oh, I sent you a connection request. Like for me, because I'm on LinkedIn every day, but I'm not just hanging out there like watching connections come through. So if an hour and a half or 2 hours goes
All
by
right.
without me popping on there, before I know it, I've had 3 new connection requests that come in. So
There are so many specific questions I have about this. I've been listening to Scott's podcast several days a week. Some of his interviews, but a lot of his solo episodes are just, they're 10, 15 minutes long, and they're just like one little detail, like, optimizing this description or how to connect with the right people, etc. And there's so many things I want to talk about with that, but let's talk about people in our specific niche. How does it work for them?
So I would say the long and the short, the people that have the most challenging time on LinkedIn are physical product type of companies. So people that sell t-shirts, tumblers, coffee mugs, more like drop shipping type of businesses, and that are very low ticket type of offerings. Those are best for TikTok Shop, Instagram, Facebook, Marketplace, that kind of stuff. But I mean, manufacturing, that's one of the top industries that has a presence on LinkedIn. 88% of people on LinkedIn are in a decision-making role. So for these companies, whether it's refabricated, parts, whatever the case may be, if they have a core demographic, industry, business, job title that they can specifically search and connect with, where they're filling their network up with what we call their tribe of buyers,
Mm-hmm.
then when that specific company starts posting relevant content, about, what they do, how they're servicing the industry that they're in, how they're servicing the clients, giving, updates, education, information-based content. Now they're positioning themselves as that go-to company that if there's a need that needs to be filled with a specific company that maybe needs things that company is providing, well, now you're going to have that person reaching out to them saying, hey, I've been seeing your content on LinkedIn. Actually, some of the stuff that you've been posting, we need some of the stuff that you have to offer. Would love to connect with you offline and discuss, how we could work together. So
Yeah.
it's people overcomplicate the process. Like LinkedIn is very simple once people can kind of get under the kimono of how to use it. But if it's a business related industry like manufacturing, there is a significant home for those companies on LinkedIn. They just need to know how to leverage it the right way, from the optimization of their profile, from building the right network to messaging the right way, and creating that value added content that's going to market and position themselves as the go-to company out there.
Well, one of the things that you talk a lot about is optimizing somebody's profile.
Yep.
What should somebody put on their profile to optimize it, to make them come across as a thought leader?
Well, a couple things. Number one, if I was the owner of the manufacturing company, I would do 2 things. Number one, I would first focus on optimizing my personal profile, which is still considered a business profile because I'm the representative of the owner of the company. That's the first thing. The second thing I would do is I would create a company page that is sideline to the personal profile, and then I would make sure that every single one of my employees, whether I have 5, 30, or 100, are invited to be a part of that company page. Because if the whole company is on board and they're posting content to it, they're sharing content to and from it, it's going to give that company page that much more visibility. But the other brilliant thing
All right.
is,
Well, okay. Finish this thought, and then I want you to back up from the description, and I want you to tell what the difference is between the personal page and the
yep,
profile page. So,
yep,
and then we'll get to the description then. But finish
yep.
what you were saying.
Well, what I was saying was that typically what I recommend for companies that I consult with is when they have their company page, um, also inviting 2 to 3 of their employees as what is called admins, where they can manage the page as well. Because every company page that someone has something called invite credits, which means you can invite 250 of your first connections to like your company page. So in theory, if you yourself, the owner of the company and that business page and company page, has 3 other admins, that's 1,000 people that can be invited every single month to like that company page. So if that's done every single month, you're going to get explosive growth and visibility from that company page by people just inviting the 250 people per month that they're allotted to. So that's the first thing. Now, to go back to the original question, there's a difference between a LinkedIn personal profile and a company page. A company page cannot be created unless someone has a personal profile first. So you have to create your personal profile. And then if you go to your profile and you actually click on, there's a little waffle at the top. It's where you can find your groups. But at the very bottom of that is where it says company page. And you can add a company page. It's very self-descriptive what you need to do. It takes 2 seconds to set up. But I would say the more important thing that people need to do is first optimizing their personal profile, because that's what's going to get the most organic visibility and traction. So what people, again, going back to what I said earlier in the interview, is that there's a lot of SEO optimization that is taken into consideration within people's profiles. The headline section, the experience section, the about or summary section, all of those things, you have to make sure that you have the right SEO keywords embedded all throughout your profile. And this is something that I'm very in tune with. And it's something, I've worked with thousands of people at this point. So I can look at someone's profile and I can tell them exactly where they're falling short. But what happens is when I get into someone's profile and I start making all the adjustments that need to be made, within 24 to 48 hours, people will see a significant increase in the amount of people that actually visit that person's profile, but also the amount of search appearances. And those are the key metrics that people want to look at. If you're not appearing in a significant amount of searches weekly, and if you're not having a lot of profile visits, every 30, 60, 90 days, it means your profile is not SEO optimized. Because again, the more optimized it is, you have to think about some of the keywords that your ideal target audience is actually pumping into the search engine. So I reverse engineer everything that I do on LinkedIn. And that's what I always recommend other people to do. It's following the concept of what I call the passenger side perspective. So most people, when they're looking to grow their business, they focus on the driver side perspective, their own, because it's not about me, it's about everybody else. So I try to put myself in the shoes of the people I'm looking to attract into my business and to my business. And the best way to do that is to think about what they're struggling with, what they're using LinkedIn for, meaning what are they pumping into the search engine that would then allow my profile to populate if that same keyword or keywords was populated all throughout my LinkedIn profile. So I basically work backwards and then obviously implement and strategize everything from there. And that's really the important thing. When you have the right SEO optimization within someone's LinkedIn profile, everything else gets easier because you're able to build your network easier. People are more likely to accept your connection request because who you're connecting with aligns with what's listed on your profile. So it seems like an automatic, symbiotic connection request instead of just spraying and praying, which is what a lot of people do. They just hit connect, hoping that people just accept whether they're a good fit or not. So I'm very clear and specific about the outcomes that I expect when I'm on LinkedIn. And that's the same thing that I recommend for all the clients that I work with.
Okay. Well, what content are you putting on your main page versus your company page versus your personal profile?
Well, yeah, so same content, but what I always recommend people to do is you always post your content via your personal LinkedIn profile, and then after it's live, you then share it to the business page.
Okay, it's
So,
okay that it's redundant.
oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. You want a very clear social media, but also content presence on LinkedIn. So you don't want mixed messaging, because you, the face of the personal profile, is also the face of the company page. So it
Do you
makes
ever want to put different stuff on each one?
the only thing that I actually do differently on my company page is there's now a new there's a new feature on company pages on LinkedIn where if you have a podcast, you can actually attach an RSS feed to your company page that you own. So every time you release a new podcast episode, it actually creates a post for you that you can put out via the company page. So that's
Hmm.
the only thing that I actually allow to go through the company page solely. All the other content I post and then I share it back to the company page after it comes from my personal profile.
We have Graph Pinkert, our used machinery business, Today's Machining World, our media business, and then Swarfcast, and then um, you have a whole bunch of different businesses as well.
Yeah.
Do you have several different pages, or do you just have one business page?
I have several.
Okay,
So
and that's a way of sort of dividing
yeah,
the,
I have a company. I have 7 company pages. So
and then you'll
I
take certain content from one post and put it on. You don't post it on all of your pages.
only if it's relevant. So I have the Time to Grow, which is our company. I have my consulting company page. I have my lead gen company page, and then BYOB Agency is my wife's company. BYOB Social is our posting platform. Expert Foundations is our DIY course. Expert Authority is our mastermind, so that has its own company page. And my podcast is on there, as I mentioned. So my podcast has actually its own company page where I have content being published to it that's strictly just for the podcast.
Say you're a manufacturer and you make stuff for, say you make stuff for the medical industry. We'll give you even a specific niche. You make like implantable bone screws. Okay. What might be a typical post that, um, off the top of your head, that you've either seen or you could say, here's something to make me interesting and give me visibility and make me a thought leader?
Well, I have a specific structure of what I help people with. So I always tell people to start out the week, either Monday or Tuesday, with a video.
Okay.
And that could be a 30-second short video. It could be a 2 to 4 minute longer explainer video, or it can even be a LinkedIn Live if they want to do a longer training, 12 to 15 minutes.
Does the video need to be something original?
It should be. So I always tell people that the content that you're producing should do one of 2 things: educate your audience or inform your audience. So as long as it's informing your audience about something that they need to know, or educating them on something they maybe didn't know about, then you're doing the right thing on LinkedIn, because that's what people are on LinkedIn for 2 reasons. Number one, to network with others, and number two, to advance themselves knowledge-wise in business. So when you're building the right kind of network, so the example that you gave, someone that's manufacturing or remanufacturing, dental implants type stuff, you're going to want to connect with dentists. You're going to want to connect with oral surgeons. You're going to want to connect with cosmetic surgeons, actually individuals or companies. So now you're filling your pipeline of connections with people that would find value in the content that you're going to provide. because then you would start doing maybe some industry updates or a short little tip video for those dental practices that they need to know about things that are going on, because companies only know what they know. It's the job of the manufacturers, the other industry experts out there, to educate and inform their ideal client network audience what it is that they need to know. So they would do, just a 30 to 60 second short little tip video, or a did you know, or industry update type of thing.
That's a lot of, I mean, to do a high quality video, that's a lot of work. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But what if you're not a video person? Get somebody to help you make the video. Like, video is pretty vital for one of your posts.
Well, I would say you can do one of two things. I usually just use my phone. I just prop it up and I just hit record, and I just keep it very simple. So I follow the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. So it's not too overly difficult. The other thing that I've started to leverage and that I've been recommending for people out there, especially those that I work with, is a program called Opus.pro, which is a video content repurposing tool. And the way that it works is that you just hop on Zoom like we're doing right now, or whatever recording platform you want. You shoot like a 3 to 4 minute video kind of going over a couple key points of things that you want to talk about. And then you drop the recording of that MP4 video in Opus. It's completely free. And what it does is it spits out about 6 or 7 viral-esque type of short videos that you can then download and then share across whatever social platform.
Try this immediately.
Yeah, so it's really amazing. It's what I use when I'm looking to do some content repurposing. So instead of having to think of, all new things to talk about, you can do like a 5-minute video that goes over 4 or 5 key points. And what Opus does is it actually breaks out those key points into little 30 to 60 second mini digestible videos.
That's what you do for your podcast when you repurpose
some of my podcast video, like my shorts, like my YouTube shorts, my TikToks, my Instagram reels, my Facebook reels. I record all my I record all my podcasts as videos as well. So the long form, actually, the audio version goes out on Spotify, iTunes, and such. The video gets posted on.
Hey, you cut out. You said you record all your podcasts as videos as well.
Yeah, so my podcast gets recorded as a video and an audio. The audio goes on to Spotify and iTunes.
Sure.
The video goes up on my YouTube channel. And then I have a bunch of mini clips that I then share that week of the podcast on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and Facebook Reels.
And you use the software to make your shorts, or do you?
Opus.pro, yeah, it's an AI tool. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. It captions it, gives you hashtags to use. I use the paid version now just because I do so many of it. It's only $19 a month. It's really worth it.
Cheaper than my video editor.
So that and again, you can. The cool thing with Opus is that you can actually, there's editing software in there where you can go in and you can trim it if you want. You can actually give it keyword prompts. So when it's analyzing the video, it pulls out clips that mention those keywords that you drop in there. So it basically becomes very aligned with the types of videos output wise that you want to get from it. So that's
awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of just like high level like video content. But going back to your question, when on middle of the week, like Wednesdays, I always recommend doing a market research poll. So I'm a big believer in finding out pain points of people's problems that will further content. So just as an example,
and it's easy for people to check a box on a poll too.
So like, with like going back to the dental implant example, if I was that manufacturing company that was providing these dental implants for, firms and, dental practices, I would ask a very simple yes or no question. Something like, do you find it difficult to keep up with the manufacturing of the dental implants for your patients? Yes, no, other, comment below. Because again, this is a question that can reveal if there's a dental practice out there that maybe is having pipeline issues with maybe a company that they're using for the manufacturing of their dental implants. That that when people vote, it's giving you that hard data where you can then reach out to the people that voted and say, hey, listen, I noticed you voted like, yes, you're having difficulties. Just wanted to introduce ourselves and our company. Would be happy to explore, how we can work together.
That's really interesting. I listened to your podcast literally maybe yesterday about that, about how you do your polls, and you often like to do what I call binary questions, yes or no questions. We have a pretty popular blog. We get we sometimes get a lot of comments, and binary questions are the things that we try to stay away from, because you're not going to get people to actually write an answer. But the binary question, the yes or no, seems like that makes total sense for this. Okay, so you got videos, you got polls. What
And then,
else? What
yeah,
are
and
the
then
other
the
posts?
last thing, the last thing, the results of the poll tell you the content that you need to create. So basically, I use the poll questions as content initiators. So whatever the issue or question that I'm asking reveals a specific pain point, I then take that data and then I create either a long form post with an image attached to it up to 3,000 characters, or in my case, I use that data from the polls to create my weekly newsletter editions on Fridays. So the question that I'm going to ask my audience on a Wednesday, they will actually see the revealed answer and I would say data from that on Friday morning when I post my LinkedIn newsletter edition. And my newsletter is over 8,200 subscribers now.
Wow.
It gets a lot of traction each and every week. People appreciate it. I love it. And I love, I'm a storyteller, so I love writing long form content. I don't like to be confined to 3,000 characters because I write more than that. So, but, I have, it's been going on for 2 years now. So I have, close to almost 200 editions now. So it's really fun. It's really impactful. And I never have to think about what I'm going to be posting, because all I have to do is go back to some of the polls that I did and I just create content based on what my audience wants to know.
What about delegating to others?
Yeah, there's really nothing that can be delegated except for the company pages. So if you want someone to kind of manage the company page, you can have those super admins or admins to manage that. But the personal pages, the personal profile, it violates the user agreement if you have someone logging in as you and kind of connecting and messaging. That's how you get your accounts deleted, because they do check VPN trackers and VPN blockers and IP addresses. So I really caution people not to do that. The great thing about LinkedIn is you can pre-schedule your content right on the platform. So most of the content that people see from me, my videos, some of them I actually pre-record and then schedule. My polls are always pre-scheduled. My newsletter editions are always pre-scheduled. And my regular posts are always pre-scheduled. So I like to pre-schedule a week or two at a time, because I don't want to have to spend time just creating content every single day. That's just a waste of my time. It doesn't really give me time back.
You batch.
Exactly. The connecting and messaging aspect, which is also a core aspect of my program, only takes about 7 to 10 minutes. So I usually tell people block out 20 to 30 minutes a day for your LinkedIn activity, for connecting, messaging, engaging in other people's content. It might be contributing to a LinkedIn collaborative article. So that way you're not spending all day. You're basically having a hyper-focused 20 to 30 minutes of activity, and then you're going about your day from there, and you're not having to worry about having to hang out on the platform.
LinkedIn rewards you for commenting on others, correct? Like, it's really important to comment on others, or is it really not?
LinkedIn rewards you for 3 specific activities: posting your own content, commenting on your own or others, and contributing to collaborative articles. Those are kind of like the 3, I would say, visibility metric trackers that LinkedIn suggests people to do each and every week.
Give me an important point in your life where serendipity played a big part.
Meeting my wife. I just got out of a long-term relationship, and I had been married and divorced twice at this point. My son was about 4.5 at this point. He's going to be 12. And, I was 38, and I kind of, resided the fact that, maybe I'm not supposed to be with anybody. I've been married a couple times. I became a dad, which is, I tell my son all the time, it's one of the greatest accomplishments that I've ever had in my life. Being his dad. I have a wonderful family. I have a ton of friends, and just could not,
How did you meet
really.
your wife?
Well, so
LinkedIn.
I,
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. So I was basically, I was resigning to the fact that I was basically I was gonna work on me, stay single, just kind of focus on business and life and that kind of thing. And I was down the shore at my sister and brother-in-law's shore house, and just kind of like getting myself back out there again and just getting social, just because I've been working from home since 2016. So I it's very easy for me to just stay in the house for days on end and just focus on work and being a dad. um so my brother-in-law said, listen, just get yourself out there, just start dating, you don't have to do anything serious. And so he downloaded this app called Bumble, and I was down the shore. So I was in Margate, New Jersey, and the first person that popped up that I had the ability to swipe was my wife, and I'm like, oh, she's really hot. Like, let me swipe right, and she swiped back, and we went out on a date. This was like mid to end of July. We went out on a date, I would say very early August, and it was a good first date. But we're both entrepreneurs, so she was kind of doing her own thing, I was doing my own thing. Um, and I we kind of just fell out of touch, for a couple months. I was, just kind of focusing on just life or whatever, and I ended up doing this gratitude challenge in October, and I just called it the October Gratitude Challenge. And we had become friends on Facebook, and I noticed that she started, following my gratitude challenge and kind of doing it and tagging me.
Interesting.
And I remember on our first date, I didn't bring her flowers. I actually brought her "You're a Badass at Making Money" by Jen Sincero, just because it's a good entrepreneurial book to read. So I reached back out to her after about 2 months of really not engaging, and I said, "Hey, I know it's been a while. Thanks for supporting me in my challenge. Would love to grab some lunch, and reconnect." And she said, "Absolutely." And we went out to lunch. She was a little bit flustered because she was kind of bopping around. It was raining, and she was working on some business stuff. And I said, "Listen," I said, "let's after today." I said, "Let's get a proper date on the books." And I booked our third date right then and there. I got my calendar out. I wrote it in. I said, "Let's go out in 2 weeks." We met in New Hope, Pennsylvania, which was kind of like halfway between the two of us. She was in Princeton, New Jersey. I was in, Manayunk, just outside of Philadelphia. And that was kind of like our magical date. We were there for 6 hours and shared our first kiss in the parking lot, when we were, saying goodbye. And we've been together ever since. And it's been almost 7 years. And if I hadn't been down the shore that weekend, and if I hadn't downloaded the app because of the mile restriction that was on the app, if I was back at home, it would have never picked her up, and I probably would have never swiped, and I never would have met her. So, I mean, if you want to talk about serendipity, that's it, and it's best example.
Incredible. Incredible. Is there anything else that you want to say to the people of the world? And feel free to, tell people where to find you, etc. I could have talked to you another hour, but I understand we have things to do, but
Yeah.
this was incredible.
Well, again, appreciate the opportunity, and I always remind people that every master was once a disaster. So you're not supposed to
Ah.
figure everything out right away.
Make me feel better.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of what I do, I love helping people shorten that learning curve. So, again, I post daily on LinkedIn. I do two LinkedIn lives every single week, Mondays and Thursdays, giving free tips and value. You can subscribe to my LinkedIn newsletter to get updates there. So you can find me on LinkedIn or my website, which is scottaaron.net. And again, anything that I can do to support people and help them in any way, shape, or form, I would love to connect.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Scott Aaron. I highly recommend his podcast, Networking and Marketing Made Simple. I'm all about it, and I'm actually talking to him about doing some coaching, etc. So I thank you so much, and I learned a lot already just today. I'm ready to go, ready to get rocking and rolling. Go on LinkedIn today and lead the world with my thoughts. So
That's
thank
right.
you.
You're so welcome. And again, thanks for having me on today.